Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and a very warm welcome to our TechEd session, SAP Datasphere Overview and Strategy, here live from Heidelberg.
Yeah, thanks, Hagen, and good to be with you here today and give you a bit of like an overview on where we are heading to with Datasphere.
Actually, data and analytics is pervasive, it's everywhere. It has changed both our private life as well as our business life. And actually the question how we really enable organizations to drive value from data is a one that concerns us a lot at SAP. And one of the latest additions that we had to our data and analytics portfolio that enables this is SAP Datasphere. And we are very happy to share with you in today's session the overview and the strategy of what we are doing, but then also really going live into the product and showcasing you the functionality directly in the product. But before we do that, let me also remind you of the fact that we are actually live, as I said, here from Heidelberg, and you also have the opportunity to ask questions. Yes? We have our product experts in the background who are on the chat and answer your questions live, and equally so at the end of this session we'll have the opportunity to get to some of the questions that you sent to us here in the studio and answer them directly live. And with that, let me jump into the details, and before we take a look actually at the solution, take a look at some of the crucial aspects and crucial capabilities that we seek to address. And in order to do that, I believe it's important to understand what problems or what issues we seek to address with SAP Datasphere. And if we take a look at this, actually, data to value is a topic that exists for a long time, and there are three particular challenges that we seek to address. The first is around the fact that data needs context for authoritative decision making. And as a matter of fact, in many of the SAP environments, like an S4HANA, like an S4HANA Cloud, like an Ariba Concur Fieldglass, data often or always comes embedded in the semantics. And our key direction here is carrying this forward and actually enabling you to make direct use of this semantic information in the data analytics space. The second issue is around self-service, but at the same time balancing increasing self-service with the need for central governance. And this is something where we clearly want to avoid that we have expert tooling only, but open up data and analytics even beyond the pure front-end reporting planning layer to casual business users and allowing for self-service while ensuring governance. And the third, we oftentimes see when interacting with customers that one of the core challenges is actually data residing in silos, and it is very hard to break those silos down. And in the end, the only option to do that is embracing openness, and so this is also core part of our strategy. So in short, what we seek to achieve, and you'll see that in the solution later, first of all, preserving semantics, second, enabling self-service while at the same time ensuring governance, and third, opening an open data ecosystem. Now, how do we do that? Actually, with SAP Datasphere that follows the paradigm or architecture of a so-called business data fabric. And in the end, this is about integrating and harmonizing data across various sources that you have in the organization, applying a strong governance on top of that, also applying a layer of business semantics, as we just heard, on top of that, and in the end, exposing data products that are curated and valuable to any sort of a consumer that you might want to serve in your organization or even outside. And if we go one level deeper, to take a look at the capabilities that we have, I don't now read that out fully, but you see actually if we go here on the slide from the bottom to the top, we cover actually a broad range of capabilities that enable you address any sort of use case that you might have. So from data integration preparation over modeling to the business semantics, governance part including catalog, and then as well on the top layer, discovery, consumption, sharing and self-service. And this is all part of SAP Datasphere, but also one important point to mention is that this entire data to value challenge that I mentioned is nothing that we believe we want to solve in isolation or that we can successfully solve in isolation, but we really need to open it up and build this open data ecosystem of partners. And this is actually why we have now partnerships with leading technology solution providers out there that you see here. So we integrate, as an example, with Databricks in order to integrate the semantically rich SAP data with the lakehouse architecture that Databricks provides. We integrate with Confluent in order to serve the event streaming and the managed Kafka environment with SAP data. We integrate with Collibra, leading catalog solution provider, with our very own SAP Datasphere catalog, so that we, in the end, open up the entire SAP world in great depth and combine that with the non-SAP world that is covered by Collibra. We integrate with DataRobot in order to enable self-service AI and ML scenarios. And we have a large partnership out with Google Cloud along multiple dimensions, actually. One is around the data center build-out, where we address increasing number of regions and build out data centers on which SAP Datasphere runs with Google. And another is, in the end, also a reference architecture and a solid integration with the Google Cloud Platform, such that, for example, if you have marketing data residing in a Google BigQuery, at the same time, data like core financial information typically residing in your SAP environment, you can bring that easily together with our reference architecture in Google Cloud. And last comment, so this is really not only marketing and a kind of a go-to-market partnership, but we are really engaged from the product management side ourselves with our engineering teams in order to build out these reference architectures and also establish a solid integration. And with that, handing over to Fabian to go a bit more into the details and also show the application live.
Sure, thanks Hagen. And now we already have heard from Hagen on like the open ecosystem per se, and let me give you a bit of a deep dive specifically on the two major topics that we also see and that we are talking to. On the one hand side, and you might already have heard Jürgen this morning talking about semantic onboarding in his keynote, very specifically are looking into how do we turn the business data fabric to the business data fabric and not only to the data fabric portion. And one very important part in this is like the semantic onboarding, where we are actually looking to on the one hand side, import the entities. And if we talk about importing entities, it's specifically in terms of taking the virtual data model and translating that one into native Datasphere artifacts, right? So it's not only to give you, this is the data set and there you have the table, but also to maintain this business context where we are specifically looking after to say, hey, I gotta put the product into the relation, what is around that? And so this is specifically how we are going on this with the S4 HANA content generation. Apart from that one, you can also leverage what is inside of your BW system, where you have like your models coming from the BW world and you translate them natively into Datasphere artifacts to continue your journey, build new use cases on top of that by leveraging exactly what you have built so far inside of your BW environment, so to speak. And one still important perspective that we do see is like the content network overall, right? Where we are specifically looking into what kind of content can we also pre-deliver to you as a customer, and how you can kind of get a quick jump start or a quick start into building the analytical foundation that you still require, right? And so specifically on this side, we have like SAP content that we deliver. Most recently, we launched the Finance Foundation, which kind of acts as the underpinning to your S4 system. On the other hand side, right, we also have third parties, partners also delivering content into Datasphere and giving you exactly this. And then all of this is kind of comprised by data products, right? Where we on the one hand side have our public data marketplace. We deliver data products coming from public data providers. But beyond, we also have data products that you, even as a customer, can create yourself and share inside your ecosystem. And then finally, and this is where you will find SAP evolving to, is we deliver data products as well, right? So we are delivering then data products coming from different applications, like you see it already on the screen here, from a SuccessFactors system where you directly get a data product and can start onboarding or starting your journey with SAP Datasphere. And this is like the big buzz around what is coming with semantic onboarding, and which you also will find soon available in your dedicated DataSphere instance. And then we come to, on the other hand side, to the self-service modeling. So we kind of understand that self-service is one of the key elements that we actually want to extend to, and that we have a high focus with DataSphere upon. And so the topic that we launched recently, beginning this year, was the analytic model, right? And now we are expanding in terms of bringing stacking support, multi-factor modeling. We are also looking into how can we leverage authorizations directly inside of the analytic model. And it's also about BW qualities, right? Talking about topics like non-cumulative key figures, exceptional handling, exit variables, you name it. And these are exactly topics that we will build into the analytic model and where we are advancing to, making the analytic model, in a sense, the go-to area where you actually do your exposure, no matter whether you start with a data layer, whether you use the business layer, but always on top you will find the analytic model that acts then as like the contract, so to speak, to the outside world. Soon, other topic in the self-service modeling, maybe a bit of a smaller one compared to the analytic model, is folder support, but it's quite an important one. We have heard a lot from our customers, hey, I need to better organize what I have contained in my data layer, kind of get this overview. This is specifically where folder support will be coming into game. Compatibility contracts, a topic where we are looking into how we can help you also better handle the lifecycle of your objects inside of the data layer, get away from this kind of, okay, it's break and fix mentality, but it's more like you kind of continuously evolve your data layer and you pretty understand in terms of where are you actually at or what is being used. And if this is being used, okay, I also need to make sure that I don't kind of mess up with the objects sitting on top. And then finally, right, and this kind of ties a bit back, but it's quite important, the external hierarchies that we get from the BW system. So we recently launched something like a bit of clunky an object name in the roadmap was like external hierarchies with directories, but actually what it speaks to is yeah, absolutely. But actually what it speaks to is like that you can take over what is coming from your BW4 model from your BW4 from an S4HANA and directly take over these hierarchies and start kind of building up on these inside of DataSphere. And all of this kind of brings us closer together in terms of how we kind of attach to the SAP world, how we kind of also help you to bring this non-SAP data and truly get onto your journey with self-service modeling inside of DataSphere. And with that, I would say let's kind of roll it from there and give you a bit of an overview in terms of how does now look and feel specifically inside of DataSphere. And so think of, you're in an organization, you're tasked with, hey, you need to kind of get to the right stories of sales and deliveries. And so this is exactly where you can start your journey inside DataSphere with the catalog. You find the central artifacts, from there you get to the story, and where you see now the sales orders. And now imagine you're in the business, you're tasked with, hey, Hagen, you need to find out in terms of what is exactly which kind of agent do I need to send to the customer in order to quickly get to that. What is most difficult is where do you actually start? Again, the catalog helps you to find, hey, there's a KPI that already speaks to the sales agent performance, and now it's up to you to bring the right data. Next thing is bring the right data. What is the right data? So you need to understand, you need to have data coming from a BW system. Data Marketplace will exactly help you on this journey, embark on it. You simply load in a few clicks data now coming from a BW system as a data product into SAP DataSphere, and also not only the Data Marketplace as the discovery, but it also shows you, has the data been loaded? Is it now available inside of your system? And this is what you're seeing right there, is now you have your sales actuals and history data in a few clicks available in your space. Now you can go ahead, right? You are the responsible for that one. You know best in terms of what is required in order to build that up. So you understand this data coming from Google BigQuery. Again, DataSphere supports you in that by now bringing in the sales agent master data and targets in a matter of clicks, right? You load that data and have it instantly available now as well inside of your DataSphere space, what we call it. And now what you see, if we click on that, we also have like the sales agent master data now available. You can right away preview this data, something that you will see throughout the entire product. And now finally, I can also say, hey, I need to prep this data, right? It's not only having it there, but I need to do some transformational steps. This is where the transformation flow kicks in, right? Where you can do transformations that go beyond like pure SQL modeling. At the moment, you see it very graphical, viewable, like where you now can simply concat the name, build up a family name, again, in a very abstracted way so that I don't need to be deep in the weeds in order to get this stuff done. And so now finally I have the data prepared, right? I have my sales agent data there. I have the data coming from my BW system. And maybe one thing worth mentioning while I see that rolling is the transformation flow also is Delta enabled, right? You also have the chance to Delta process these data, specifically when looking at big data sets. This is what we classically hear from customers. How do I go on best with this? And this is not what we exactly see in here. Right now I have the sales agent data. And remember, I onboarded it from BW. I kind of loaded it, transformed it, and now have it ready for use, which kind of already sets me apart. I have my analytical foundation, and now I can start building up an analytic model. Now I have this sales agents, actuals, and target data, right? I can easy kind of enrich it by additional dimensions. Like in this case, now I have a sales agent location that I want to report over because, see, I want to understand which is the right sales agent to send over there. Going back, I have this sales agent performance. So looking at the target achievements of these is one thing on how I measure it. And now the analytic model is kind of abstracting this. Don't need to care about where the measures are coming from, but actually the analytic model helps me to build the source, the model, and then kind of build in a very self-service fashion the right calculations on top. And then again, as I said before, previewing is one of the key elements. We have this embedded data preview. This is like a what you see is what you get editor. So I can look at the sales agent performances, filter it on a given year to get to the right data. And even beyond that, I already see that Jordan Landry is the right person. But if I now want to look into my hierarchies, right, I can also pick up a sales hierarchy and preview it. Again, it always gives me the right elements at hand to preview and identify quite early is what I seek as a result in that data, and kind of before I start hassling around and jumping around between tools. Analytic model created. Now, next thing is I simply pick it up in my SAC story and kind of take in these sales agent target achievements, get it available in my story. Again, I can view it. And now what I see is exactly, I do see that Jordan Landry, apparently, he's like an overperformer. So I should send him over to MoverParts in order to get the situation fixed in there. And then comes the cool thing in, right? Now, I did multiple steps, but still the catalog holds all of this together because I do understand the lineage. I can understand where is the sales agent and deliveries and performance, what models are fueling this. And again, tweak, coming back to my KPI, because exactly this analytic model is now holding this KPI. And this is what I see in a nutshell when utilizing Datasphere. And this is how all of these elements are coming together. And I hope you kind of impressed on that one.
I think that's great, Fabian, certainly. And I mean, speaking for myself, of course, knowing the solution pretty well, still it's fast, and I believe also out there, I assume it gives a very first overview of actually what the look and feel is like, and also how rich the capabilities are. But for sure, there is so much more that actually you need to explore and digest to fully grasp it. And this is also basically how we want to conclude it before now going to Q&A, actually with a reference to all the great things that are out there, in case that we now, and hopefully manage to spark your interest and actually you are looking for options to further deep dive. On the one hand side, there are additional sessions at the TechEd, also live today and tomorrow airing around Datasphere from A to Z as an example, around the question, when you start as one of our trusted customers from the SAP BW world, how you actually embark on the journey to modernize your BW environment and also join us in the journey to the public cloud with the help of SAP Datasphere. We also have the very vibrant community out there. We have many different learning offerings, also such that are free of charge. And you can also make use of the learning.sap.com/teched site in order to see all the offerings that we have and explore the deep dive as available. And with that, thanks a lot, and we will move over to the Q&A.
Live Q&A.
Hey, and you did a great job even on on the other side of the cables, and because you brought up a lot of questions to us. And so maybe Hagen, let's start into it right now. The first question that we heard a lot: will there be own connectors or tiles to the partner solutions, Databricks specifically? Can you leave some words on this?
Yeah. So I mean, we have an integration with Databricks available today. It's federation-based integration, that's also one of the key interests of many of the customers actually, who seek to, how can I actually get access to the data that I have available, semantically rich from the SAP sources in DataSphere, and connect my Databricks on top of it. And we have a library that is called FedML. So you can basically Google it or look at help.sap.com to check out the full details. And this integration is available today in a federated way. Going forward, we move actually one step beyond that. And one of the core topics that also drives us at the moment is around the question, how do we more deeply integrate the object store world into SAP DataSphere? And this is also something that we now have actually a big release in Q4 to integrate with several object stores that also in the end are underlying to Databricks, such that this is also another option then in case that you're looking for larger data volumes to basically bring that together across the different systems or landscapes.
Cool, thanks. Maybe let's take another one, and I'm just looking at them because there are so many of them. Yeah. There's one other question, and maybe you want to take that, Hagen. Currently, the business layer is not aligned at the object level with the data layer. When will there be analytic models on business layer objects, or when will the business layer be redesigned?
I think you better go do it, Fabian.
For myself.
Because you're the expert on it.
Yeah. Reading through it. So look, and this is already what I said, right? With the analytic model, we embarked on the journey in terms of how we allow for rich analytic modeling inside of DataSphere, where we now put the data layer underneath. And so let me be clear on that one. The business layer is not going away, right? It's not coming to a stop, even though you have not seen it yet adopted with the business layer, with the analytic model specifically. However, what we're going to do is gradually we will now also allow the analytic model to directly consume business entities coming from the business layer and kind of consume that directly in the analytic model. And so the business layer actually evolves towards a very slim layer that is then on the one hand side this one-of-a-kind representation, what is inside of a data layer. Think of a data layer with 20,000 artifacts, which is the right one to choose. Business layer gives you exactly this, making things very explicit, bringing like the business connections to life and kind of, okay, this is a sales order has a product, has a material, has an employee in its relation. And on the other hand side, have this very generic analytical definition sitting on top that you want to reuse. Like something is a non-cumulative key figure. You would understand that and simply can consume it then also business entity directly into the analytic model. And this is how we will be evolving it over time. It will take some time, but we are working hard on that one to also, over the next year, do the needful evolutions to exactly get into this direction.
Super. I think we should maybe take the one on data intelligence, Fabian, because I see there are multiple ones on it. With the advent of DataSphere, where do we see SAP Data Intelligence? And there's also another question I see here. Does DataSphere have all the DI cloud capabilities? And where do we see the ML capabilities? So maybe we can club this a bit together. Sure. And in the end, so also as you followed the DataSphere introduction and launch, there's a clear statement out that actually the portfolio is converging, and Data Intelligence Cloud and Data Warehouse Cloud grew together in DataSphere. And what we are working on right now is achieving scenario parity for key scenarios that Data Intelligence and Data Intelligence Cloud customers drive today. We have a lot already there, as you also saw in the demo that Fabian showed, and there will be additional functionalities and features come, especially around the topics of complex pipelining and around the ML integration that we have. And for the full details, take a look at our roadmap where you see then all the data integration capabilities that come. And with that, I think looking at the time, it's already red. We are unfortunately already at the end of the session, but it was a pleasure having you with us and hope you enjoyed it as well. In case of any questions, reach out, and would be great if you also follow us on the community and in the different sessions.
Definitely. See you there. Enjoy and have the rest of the TechEd, and have a nice day.
Super. Thank you. Bye-bye.